Hey there, you wonderful listeners. I have a question for you. Do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and even earn money all in one place and for free. How can you beat that? It's called Spotify for Podcasters. And here is how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, there are Q&A and poll options available, and those are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I've discovered Spotify for Podcasters, it has made doing my shows like the Steam Machine Podcast, Yabs Pod, and the JRPG Report much, much easier to do. Like being able to just go on there, record them, upload it, boom, it's done. I don't have to pay for a site service to host or anything like that. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started today. This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, we found a grimoire. It must have been lost the second time. Cue the music! Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always is the people who I love the most, my bros, and I'm going to call them the Destructo Bros now because that is not copyrighted by WWE. So, the Destructo Bros themselves.
Yo, what's up? It's Nate, y'all.
What's up? It's Willie of the Destruct Bros. Just kind of trimming it down.
Yeah, I named one of the songs on my albums after you guys. I think the Destructo Bros. So I was like, yeah, I'll use that.
Nice.
Because I was watching something last night and they were talking about WWE trademarks and they mentioned Brothers of Destruction and I went, oh, okay, yeah, I'd like to not get in trouble for that. Even though we're not nearly big enough to get in trouble for it, I'd still like to not take that chance.
Yeah, they're not quite at the Disney level, but I still don't want to mess with the WWE.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get to WWE in a second because I have things to say. But gentlemen, how are you this week?
It's been kind of a rough one. Unfortunately, one of my dogs died last night, so I took the day off work and put her in the ground, which was sad. But, I feel good because I feel like she's probably not in pain anymore, so I take solace in that because she was old and kind of miserable. But, it's still sad, but that's part of life.
Yeah, and I always try to remember, like, when a pet goes, it's like, you gave them their best life that they could have had. So, like, that's all you can do is just give them the best life they can. So, well, thoughts to you, my brother.
Thanks, brother.
She was a really good dog. I've met her a few times, and every time, like, just really sweet.
Yeah.
Really sweet.
Luckily, my other dog, she's doing good, and she doesn't seem to be too broken up. I think, it was kind of rough in the last few months of Lucy's life, but Zona seems to be doing all right now, so I'm just gonna make sure she's doing good and go from there.
Yeah, well, that's what's up, man. What about you, Willie? How you doing, bud?
I mean, I guess we're talking about taking care of ourselves and real shit like that. I found myself I've got an appointment with a mental health counselor coming up in a couple days, or a couple weeks actually. So, that's been good. It's been something that I'd kind of lapsed on for a while and really needed to get attention paid to again. So, kind of looking forward to it. A lot of the advancements in the last few years of medicine, the telehealth and all that, has actually made it a lot more convenient too. Like they've suspended copay. They've, got online things, so the nearest office of this place is 25 minutes away from me, and instead I can just do it from the privacy of my own home, and hopefully that'll work out well for me. I've had really big problems with panic attacks, generalized anxiety disorder, ADHD, and general depression over my years, so I'm really hoping that we can start building something new, and I can, start getting those especially panic attack symptoms dealt with, so I can kind of, get more things done on my day-to-day instead of losing days to panic attacks and then losing weeks to freaking out that I lost days.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I really thought that it was cool, like when COVID started, that like the initiative, I think it was called BetterHelp or Better Health, one of the two. It was a completely online therapy thing for people who were having issues finding like therapy and things like that. So more power to them, man. Like I think that's a cool thing for them to do, because mental health is important. Like I've been through it, believe me. I deal with it all the time. I'm not very vocal about it. You know what I mean? Because I tend to like harbor a bunch of shit. I know that's not healthy, but I do tend to just like hold it in. But I know how it goes, man. So I hope that works out for you and things start on the up and up.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Just we'll see what happens, Yeah. But I have a good feeling about that. I'm taking a good step back onto the right path.
You saying, there, dude. So I was watching an interview last night with The Undertaker. Oh, I guess it was Mark Calloway. But he is The Undertaker. But he was talking like about his career and stuff. And if you would have taken a shot every time Undertaker said, you would have been dead 20 minutes in. Like that man says, as much as Jeff Jarrett says, and that's a lot, dude. It cracked me up. But I get it though, because like those older guys are probably like when they're talking, like in their head, they're like battling. Well, should I be talking about this, or should I keep kayfabe? Like, even though kayfabe's dead, it's like they're like the last of the Mohicans in a sense of that, era. And it's funny, like seeing him conflict with himself, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk about it." And he'll start talking about it. It just cracks me up. So I downloaded this week, actually yesterday. I've been waiting patiently. WWE 2K22 came out. And 2K20 was horrendous. It was fun, don't get me wrong. I still put in like 200 hours into it, but the game crashed all the time, right? And so far in 2K22, it's crashed once on me, but I feel like it was my fault because I was like doing a bunch of things at once, and I think it just slowed up and crashed, like my computer, not the game itself. But so far the engine is fantastic. Like the fighting feels good. The camera angle took me a little bit to get used to because it's not the camera angle from the older games. But they've added a bunch of like combos and types of stuff that you can do, which really expands your move repertoire. Whereas, on the old games, you'd have like, your medium grapples, your strong grapples, your punches, your kicks, yada yada. Now you have your punches and kicks, but they can lead into moves. They can lead, so you have a combo ender. So you have a move for each of the combo enders. Then you have your grabs. Then you have your, your light and heavy grabs and stuff. And
that sounds good.
There's just a lot more to it.
Yeah. That sounds really cool. Like I'm picturing like combos from Guacamelee now, where you do punch.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's not far off. You know what I mean? Like, because the way, so X this is an Xbox controller that I'm talking about. So like X, which I guess would be square on a PlayStation controller, is your light attack. A or X on whatever controller you're using. A is the heavy attack, and then B is your grab.
Okay, that feels comfortable.
And then like.
Yeah.
So you might do...
That actually seems like really sensible.
XXA B. And your guy will be like, punch, stronger punch, and then he'll grab him and go into a move or whatever. It's really quite fun.
That actually sounds surprisingly intuitive.
Some of the things, like, so the entrance creator, I feel like got dumbed down a little bit because in the older games, you could really do a custom entrance where like you could put together different superstar stuff and do pyro and all of that. And so far, now I do want to clarify, the game's not technically out yet. Like this is early access, so there may be things that get patched in post release.
Wait, so is this like an early beta?
No. It's because I pre-ordered it. I got 3 days of early access before it drops.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there might be a day one patch based on early access. The 3 days early access, that kind of thing. Just little things. But as far as the entrances go, like the music sounds really good. Like the whole sound, because I've been playing in my headphones, and when you're coming out, it actually sounds like your music is playing in an arena, and like that there's an actual crowd there reactive. You know what I mean?
That's an especially nice counterpoint to the last couple of years of pro wrestling, where we've had to deal with like the WWE Thunderdome, where they had the virtual fans,
that's
and
in the game.
AEW running their shows in like a tiny like casino in Nevada and all that.
The Thunderdome is in the game as an arena that you can choose.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which I thought was neat. I do appreciate that they have the up, down, down title in the game, as well as the left, right title from Austin Creed's YouTube channel. I think that's really cool.
Shout out to Up Up Down Down too. You showed me some video from their channel, and like they really like highlighted some of the cool like features. Like I feel like the rendering of materials and characters' uniforms looks a lot cooler this version.
Yep.
Like if a guy wears leather, it looks like leather. If a guy wears spandex, it looks like spandex. If a guy wears like kind of a plastic or rubber, like I think they did a really good job with the rendering.
Yeah, they redesigned their entire engine. And so far, it looks and feels really, really good. There's a bunch of legends in the game. For my GM mode, I just contracted Stone Cold Steve Austin for about, I think, 5 weeks. Maybe it was 10 weeks.
Nice.
And there's different modes. So, like, GM mode is something that I loved back in the day, and that's where like you are the GM, you run the show, you're in charge of booking the matches, you want your matches to get the highest star rating so you could be the top brand, yada yada yada. It's like a business.
So is it like, are you like competing like SmackDown versus Raw? Is that basically it?
Yeah, so you can choose your brand that you want to do. So you have SmackDown, Raw, NXT, or NXT UK.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, cool. So NXT UK actually gets some representation by it. So that's actually kind of awesome.
And then you can choose...
So 205 Live doesn't exist anymore.
No, 205 Live's gone. They all got merged into NXT.
Ah, shit. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, this show was not really getting any views.
You can choose your general manager. Now, you get, like, I think it's like Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, or William Regal. Or you can create a superstar. So I created one, right? Although I'm really interested in creating you and Nate and making you guys opposing GMs and see who does better and just simulate
awesome.
everything.
You should definitely do that.
I think that would be really fun. Because the character creators, I won't say it's in depth, but like it's easier to make people look like real people in it that I've noticed. So I want to create some of my friends and then get them in there and see how they do in the ring.
Oh yeah, man! With all your wrestling talk, that makes me want to pick up a wrestling game. I know we kind of talked about it off air a little bit, but Fire Pro seems like the way to go for me with kind of the more arcadey feeling. Like I would love to kind of dive into that. I'm looking forward to that on a Steam sale. Hopefully, it comes up soon.
Yeah,
and Fire Pro 2, I think will like suit your taste for games because it's like. It kind of has a simulation gameplay. Like the kayfabe in the game is strong. Like you're working a limb. You're like doing damage. Like it's got a very internal self logic to it that makes a lot of sense.
I just remember we had that Fire Pro Wrestling game for the Game Boy Advance.
For the Game Boy Advance, yeah,
I love that game. Like that was the best wrestling game I had that wasn't on the Nintendo 64. You know?
Yeah.
I fully agree.
I think that with Fire Pro, like I know you're not super up on like newer rosters and stuff. So like the way Fire Pro works is people make wrestlers and you can download. I mean WWE 2K is the same way, but this is through the Steam Workshop.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And you can go into the workshop and find a compilation, I think it's called, of say WCW wrestlers from 95 to 99 or something like that.
Yeah. And I will totally do that.
And then you have that whole roster of dudes, and then you can just work from there with those guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like Harlem Heat fighting the NWO. Let's go.
There you go. There you go.
Old school.
In my Fire Pro, my Fire promoter, I did Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hulk Hogan, and they got 100% 5-star rating, and I was like, bullshit. Dave
Hogan
Meltzer
never
give anything Hogan
5-star match. Come on.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Like I'm really into the booking style stuff, you know what I mean? But I also like to visualize it. So while I do enjoy Total Extreme Wrestling, like it's all text based, and it's like I like to kind of visualize what's going on, which is why I really do enjoy Fire Pro Wrestling. Fire Pro Wrestling World, and specifically, is the one that I have. I think there's one that Grim bought me too that is very arcadey, Retromania Wrestling, which is more of like it's an indie game. But they had some cool stuff in it. So, like, there's wrestlers. There's, like, Colt Cabana, Jeff Cobb,
Nice.
Tommy Dreamer, the Road Warriors, the Blue Meanie, and then some indie guys that I don't particularly remember their names. I apologies to them.
Yeah, and I was looking at that one too when you were originally talking about it. Like Retromania and Fire Pro are about the same price. So like, and for some reason, Fire Pro is just one hollering out to me a little bit stronger at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Between the two of them, I think Fire Pro is the better game. Retromania really just catered to me with one of the levels that you can play in. You wrestle at a con.
Nice.
So around the ring, like I can see Conrad Thompson, who's the podcast host of like the wrestling podcasts that I listen to, and then on the other, like over here, like there's John Riggs and Johnny Millennium, Happy Console Gamer, John Riggs, and then other guys that I watch on YouTube that are just at the con sitting there watching.
That's cool.
I'm like, that's so cool. It's Metal Jesus, you know what I mean? Like the whole Metal Jesus crew. I'm like, fuck, that's cool.
Nice.
So like literally that's the part about Retromania wrestling that made me pop, and it was pretty fun. But again, I'm more into the simulation style of wrestling as opposed to the arcadey punch kick, maybe do a move type thing. You know, that's just me though. But like I said, for you though, Fire Pro, 100%
rocking. So like this is kind of tertiarily related to wrestling, but like our buddy Nando was talking in the Tadpog Discord, shout out to Tadpog, about Pokemon because he was looking for some in Shield and Sword that he doesn't have yet. So like I decided, I'm gonna log into Shield and do some like surprise trades where you can just randomly trade any Pokemon for yours for a random Pokemon for somebody else. So like I went ahead and just started farming a bunch of Machokes because if you trade a Machoke, it evolves into a Machamp. So in my brain, I'm building up good karma by giving a bunch of people Machamps.
nice.
But I've been naming all of them. So far I've traded off Austin 316, Goldberg, Elizabeth, China.
Yes. This is great. Keep
I'm
going
keep
with
doing
this.
It for a while. I was having a lot of fun just catching Machamps because I'm using a Ghost type against them, so they can't even hurt me. So like I'm grinding my Ghost type Pokemon up while catching all these Machokes.
Who is Machamp? That's what we'll find out this Super Slam.
When I look at Machamp these days, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Brock Lesnar with extra arms.
But at least
he does not need that help. He doesn't
have a giant dick tattoo down his chest.
That's true.
You give and you take. I think you can equip him with that item, but I don't know what it's called.
I believe that would be my chicken choke.
I think that's Rockstone.
Rockstone.
Some kind of rock, I'll tell you that much. Or
you can't stop the rock.
I always really liked Machoke and Machamp, and it's probably because I was a wrestling fan.
Yeah,
like
they got the title belt on, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
That's why I love Incineroar now too, because he's totally like the best like pro wrestling heel Pokemon ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was so cold on Incineroar being announced for Smash until I played as him one time and was like, oh, my side throw is a German suplex. My guy mugs and poses to the camera every time he hits anyone with any move. Like, I went from, what the hell was Incineroar to, I have a new favorite Pokemon.
Incineroar's dope, dude.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of Pokemon, I know I talked about this with James on the JRPG report, but I haven't gotten y'all's opinions on it. Scarlet and Violet got announced.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about that yet, have we?
No.
Shit, I don't think
when
so.
When I watched that trailer, I was assuming it was going to be like another spin-off game, and
it seems a little soon, doesn't it?
When it revealed to be the next generation, I was like, wow.
I'm not sure what to think about it yet. It looks like from the trailer they added a bunch of textures to the Pokemon models, which if you looked at like Seviper and I think it was Magnemite in the trailer, they looked fantastic. I'm hoping that comes to fruition with more textures on the more Pokemon.
And that's a criticism that Pokemon's been getting a lot recently, is reusing assets from previous games. And while I think that's a whack-ass criticism, I'm still kind of glad they are really going like, no, we're going hard on rendering these guys, making them look cool.
So I'm excited to see some more of the Pokemon and more of what they're going to include in this generation, because it seems like it's going to be based on Spain this time, like a region based on Spain.
Nice.
And I am so in love with the fire starter, Fuecoco.
Yeah.
Because he's like a little ghost pepper, and he's adorable. He reminds me of Totodile and like Gabba. Wait, what's it called? Gabite? No, Gabite's the second evolution. Crap.
The little Garchomp little dude.
Yeah, the baby Garchomp, basically.
Baby
he reminds
Garchomp,
me of those two guys. How they're just have like have one brain cell to share between all of them, and I love that design in Pokemon.
Oh, absolutely.
I saw a meme too that showed Score Bunny and Fuecoco, and it was like, dude, who keeps throwing craft singles on Pokemon?
Yeah, and then the Grass Starter is a cute little grass Pokemon. Like, the one thing I hope they don't do in this generation that they've done a lot of is turn their cute little Pokemon on 4 legs to some furry on 2 legs that people draw too much porn of. So I'm hoping they let the little cute grass Pokemon cat, the little weed cat, just let him be a little weed cat. Maybe a bigger weed cat when he evolves.
Yeah, I agree.
Blazitar.
Marigato.
I've seen, because it's called...
Marigato!
Because this name is Sprigatito, and I've already seen memes of people doing Sprigatito, like Despacito.
I like the little duck too. He looks like he's got some swagger to him.
Yeah, I think he's like what people are saying. I think they're going to be based on Don Quixote for him.
Oh, nice. Shit! That's
so like I think they're doing a good job. I'm big on the 3 starters.
Quacko Poncho.
Yeah, I'm big on the 3 starters. They haven't really announced much other than that. Other than it's going to be more open world as like a mainline game. So I'm going to see. I think it's going to be a little bit more like Sword and Shield as far as like open world. But I'm hoping it's more open than that was.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like Pokemon Legends Arceus. It's going to be more...
I imagine it's going to have like most of the same like game mechanics as like your mainline games, but just hopefully they open up the world a little bit, and the models so far look good if they continue down that line. I think they're going to have a good game on their hands again.
Yeah, for sure. And anytime people like criticize Pokemon, like I get that it's people have their criticism and stuff, but I would like to remind everyone that it is a fucking kids game at the end of the day. Like, it's a game for kids that us adults also enjoy. So, like, really, what 6-year-old kid is looking at that game and being like, fuck, graphics suck?
Yeah, these kids are playing Minecraft and Roblox. Come on.
Yeah. Pokemon is mind-blowing compared to Minecraft as far as visuals go. So, yeah, And again, it's not dark or seedy enough for you. You got Shin Megami Tensei, you got Persona, you got those type of games. Go play those instead. Like, those... That's
a wild point, though, because I didn't even think about it, but, like, I think kids today, like, these retro aesthetics, we grew up with them as limitations, but now it's just stylistic. Things like Minecraft and Roblox and stuff, it just looks cool. It looks video game-esque. It's like when people who grew up after the invention of the cassette tape still collect vinyls, you know? Like, it's just appreciating the medium, and I think that... your Pokemon can succeed on its own level as a Pokemon game. You don't have to be like, oh no, this is Pokemon, but it looks like, 2050's vision of Call of Duty, you know?
And like I've seen online too, and this is a thing that I talked about with James as well, is the Final Fantasy VI, the Pixel remaster or whatever. Like, okay, so I understand the version that I have on Steam is like the PC port of the mobile version of the game or whatever. And like, I don't have that nostalgia with Final Fantasy VI. So when I see these sprites and stuff that are the PC version, I'm like, well, they don't look bad to me. They're a little weird and like washed out looking a little bit. But I mean, that is what it is. And now the Pixel remaster comes out and it looks good and everything, but people are complaining about the text.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
I will say that I did find the narrow font a little hard to read when I put it on my alternate screen. Like, I was trying to watch Grim stream the game a while back, and I was having a little trouble reading the text. But that's only because I put it on my distant screen over here.
I've had the opposite experience on the things that I've seen is that, like, I can read it easier than I can Super Nintendo font because it's just, like, less, I guess, grainy. I don't know the word to use. Less pixelated looking. It's just easier on my eyes personally, and I might be the minority in that, but I just don't see why people have been complaining. And it's like, it goes back to,
I think it's a more attractive font for sure. I think it's a better. I think
people
font.
just like to complain that things aren't what they have when they were a kid, or they're not the shiniest, fanciest thing in the room. Like, I've seen tons of complaints about Elden Ring. I mean, and that's game's like one of the most well-regarded games out right now. So I'm just like, everybody just wants to complain. Just enjoy what you enjoy and let people enjoy what they enjoy. Good God.
Yeah.
There have been people that have been weird about the UI in Elden Ring, despite the fact that it's I mean, maybe it's not despite. Maybe it's because it's basically the same UI as they've been using since Dark Souls 1, or probably since Demon Souls. I didn't play Demon Souls. But, like, it is literally crystal clear what's going on as long as you've played the game, or as long as you're paying attention to the game you're playing.
Dude, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that another one that I've seen people bitching about is
I mean, do you want quest markers all over the place and make it look like a fucking, like, do you want it, I don't know, like, it wilds me out, because it's like, you want it to look like Skyrim with quest markers and directions and compasses all over the place, because that's not the way of that game series. It's supposed to be a weird, lonely exploration through a dead world.
Yeah, and nobody...
it's less dead than the Dark Souls world, but it's still a weird, dead world.
Nobody bitched about Ghost of Tsushima using wind, and the direction of the winds, the way the leaves are blowing is the direction you're supposed to go. Like, Elden Ring has a thing where when you find a new little, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a save point, a little, like, campfire, if you will.
Whatever the bonfire equivalent is called in this game,
golden trail of stuff that, like, floats up and then floats off into a direction, and it's like, that's probably the direction that you should go for your next wherever you need to go. And it's like, it's not hard to figure that out, but people just want things handed to them, and whatever. I mean, again, to each their own.
And I'm not going to say, like, I don't think everyone should have to play this kind of game. Like, if you don't enjoy this kind of experience at a game, then don't play it. But I don't think it's, like, objectively bad just because you don't like that kind of game. Like, I get that there are people that are tired of Souls-like games, because that's become a big indie thing. It's like half people want to make Souls-like games despite not knowing what the fuck makes a Souls game good. And, like, they're not all Dead Cells. A lot of the games that are trying to be Souls-like are just, we're a badly explained game that punishes you for playing it badly.
Yeah.
So I get people getting tired of that, but, like, fucking, that's not what Elden Ring is. It looks like a really, really well-crafted game. And I haven't personally played it, but I've watched enough people play it that it's like, if you have basic sense of what's going on, you should understand the game.
And probably the biggest example of this that we're talking about that I've seen recently is when the Chrono Cross remaster got announced, and people were immediately like, "Oh, this doesn't look that good. I mean, you can, like, yada, it doesn't look that great." I'm like, "Really? Because have you played the PlayStation 1 version recently? Because it looks a lot fucking better than the PlayStation 1 version."
I think that goes back to us, like, where we said we overestimated what we remember the PlayStation 1 looking like, because when we were talking about Crash Bandicoot,
Crash Bandicoot,
we overestimate what that looked like, because these remakes look like to us now what they looked like to us when we were that age.
Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, back then that was cutting edge, that was top of the line. You know what I mean? Unless, you had a $5,000 computer or whatever.
I will say I don't think they did as.
And by the way, I just want to say shout outs to the directors of both the Crash Bandicoot remakes and Quake for making those games look like the way we remembered them. Like, that was incredible artistic direction.
Yeah, for sure.
And I will say I don't think that Chrono Cross remake did as much as Crash Bandicoot did as far as updating graphics. But I might be misremembering that too. But I do think the Crash remakes look way better than the Chrono Cross remake. But
Oh yeah, the Chrono Cross thing is a remaster.
Yeah.
So, like,
not a remake, so that's a big difference.
Crashed, they built it up from the ground. Like, yeah, and I don't know. I just think, again, I think people just really like to complain, and there is a big sect of gaming fans that will never be happy.
Well, I can't argue that gamers don't like to complain, because I'm on a gaming podcast, and though about 3/4 of the time I have mostly good things to say about games, I feel like occasionally I just bitch the entire episode. And right now I'm bitching about other people bitching. So you know what? Sometimes it feels good to just be, like, disagreeable. But, like, I still don't... I have to completely reiterate, I do not think my opinions are objective in any way. I think if someone is having fun and they're having fun doing something I didn't have fun with, I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't have had fun. That's a mistake. All I'm saying is I didn't enjoy the thing as much as...
That's like when y'all played Battleship Brigade, and I did not enjoy the game, like, at all, and y'all both liked it. Like, I wasn't telling you guys you're wrong because you liked that game. It was like, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, and that's my main complaint is, like, people can have the opinions that they want. Like, I don't give a fuck, but don't tell me that, like, I'm an idiot because I like the game just because you don't like it. It's like, well, where the fuck do you get off? You know? Like I put on.
And plus, everyone has their moment where it's like everyone has this movie that they'll agree is the stupidest movie they've ever seen, but it is just their popcorn film,
Borat.
their summer action movie where you turn your brain off.
Borat. That's for me. Borat. I didn't do it for me, but continue.
No, I'm just saying, like, everyone has a movie that they think is, like, objectively bad, but they enjoyed it regardless because it's just, like, it resonated with them even though it shouldn't have done, you know?
Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, I think Queen of the Damned has some... You could make some objective arguments for Queen of the Damned. You could say that the soundtrack was a really interesting experiment.
I love it, but people shit on that movie.
Aaliyah was a really interesting actor. I don't know. Fucking, there's a lot of cool shit you could say about Queen of the Damned. But yeah, most people do not think it is an objectively great movie. And, like, I think that that's true of a lot of us. We have our not even guilty pleasure, our anti-guilty pleasure, our prideful pleasure.
It's a good band name, Prideful Pleasure.
Oh, shit, yeah, it is.
Trademark Steam Machine Podcast.
TM. This time we're not trademarking anyone else's material. We're not doing Arceus Survival Evolved. This one's ours.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, guys, Dalton's dying again.
Oh, God.
I breathed in some spit when I laughed there.
That's what happened to you last week, and you ended up 2 minutes incapacitated.
I'm all right. Oh, man. Well, I don't particularly have a ton more to dive into this week. I do want to, at the top, give a shout-out. I'll do the Patreon spiel later, but I don't want to forget. I'd like to give a shout-out to Sick Jake for joining the oil tier of the Patreon.
Hey, so, thanks, Jake.
Yeah, thanks, Jake, man.
Welcome
Good
to
to hear
the crew.
from you.
Also, let's jump in front of some things. One, I know that we've been talking about Final Fantasy VII's coming up. That's because we forgot that Amnesia Dark Descent won the last poll. So, Final Fantasy VII's
we still
a
have
bit of a ways off.
Full-ass long game in the queue, so that poll is going to stay live for a little while longer, and I'm not trying to influence anyone to try to vote differently, because I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy VII is going to win short of a revolution.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we've had to make some calculated jumps this month as far as our games go. Like, obviously, this was not the game we originally intended to play today. We kind of made a audible and decided to play Lost Grimoires 2. And then next week,
this episode was originally going to be Control. But then
we decided to do this. And then next week, we've had it planned for a while that the 100th episode was going to be a Serious Sam game. So Serious Sam's coming up. Then, next week after that, we will be getting to the Control episode. And then we might dive into Dark Descent, or it might be a host pick. I'm not sure where we are on that right now. But we don't have to think about that for a couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. We'll deal with that when it comes. I do want to say the reason that we pushed Control was I was not expecting it to be like a long game, and I guess it's not technically a long game, but I would like to put as much time as I can to explore the world, because just quick preview, it's really good.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I've really enjoyed everything I've seen so far, and I didn't want to rush my way to the ending. And so I kind of talked to the guys, and okay, do you guys mind if we push this out? Because I really want to spend as much time with it as I can.
Yeah, which I was completely okay with, because I would like to do the same thing. So it's I'm looking forward to it, though, because I think that's going to be a good episode, because there's going to be a lot to dive into, and I'm going to get to nerd out about SCP stuff a little bit. So that'll be cool too.
I know, and I finally started reading some SCP stuff that Willie and Dalton sent me, so I'm finally getting a little bit more versed in the SCP verse.
Yeah.
No, SPC is Shark Punching Center. Completely different canon.
Can I go to the SPC? That sounds fun.
It is an SCP meme in of itself.
Oh, is it?
People get those letters flipped. There's something called the SPC, the Shark Punching Center.
I just tried to say it too fast. That's all that happened to me.
But
that's what happens. But yeah, so Control is like it's a game that's a universe that's very similar to the SCP Foundation, which is a collaborative. Like, we'll discuss it when we get to that game in 2 weeks. But fucking, I'm stoked that you actually got to read some of the. I found some of the old first series ones, and then Dalton found some for the more recent series and sent them to you. And glad you enjoyed those. We'll discuss that more on the episode.
Go ahead.
No, that was the end of that thought. I actually just said and then I just ran out of thought.
Right. I'm glad you're enjoying it, because, and I'll probably hash this out a little more so I can talk more in depth about my ideas 2 weeks from now. But another tabletop that I've been bouncing around in my head is all of you guys playing on a team of SCP, not D class, but like a little bit above that, where you guys would be on like an extraction team and having to go and handle different SCPs.
It's like an MTF?
Like a DTF?
The Mobile Task Force?
Yeah.
The Mobile
Yes,
Task Force.
MTF, absolutely.
So not researcher level, but not D class. The more militarized medium.
Yeah, you guys go in and
Okay.
figure out what it is, try to capture it, all that jazz. Like I think that would be a cool idea because each week could be a one-off or maybe a two-parter type thing where maybe they didn't get it. What'll happen next week? Find out.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Considering the high lethality of SCP, I also think it wouldn't be a bad idea to use like a paranoia type thing and have us roll up new characters each week.
And that's the thing that I was thinking about too, is how, like, what TTRPG system to use for it. So I'll hash all that out. But that's just an idea that's been floating around my head. And now that Nate's like, oh yeah, these are actually pretty cool, I'm like, cool. I'm gonna start putting thought into this now. But yeah, so that's basically why we're doing this episode on Lost Grimoires 2 Shard of Mystery, which I think is a good way to segue into the O-Dubs. That doesn't exist. But
so let's here's the problem.
I did find femalevillains.fandom.com and they have a little page on the villain from this game, but it also gives a quick description of the game. So Lost Grimoires 2 The Shard of Mystery is a game set in a fantasy kingdom that has been attacked by a powerful and vile witch named Drosera. After a long hard after a long hard battle against her and her army, the king overpowered the witch and banished her away to another dimension through a magical chasm mirror portal. Or chasm, yeah, I don't know.
That one would be chasm. That one is.
Upon the king's death, the protagonist sorceress Violet was entrusted the responsibility for the young son, and that's basically.
Oh, so we would have known our character's name if we played the first game. So the medic is named Violet.
Yes.
I've always just the whole time we played the game, the character's either referred to as medic or auntie.
Yeah,
auntie saved my dad. He's having a nightmare.
Okay, so we're Violet is our name. Okay, cool. I'm only now learning this as we record.
I want to go ahead and say, I played this. I beat it. I think we all three beat it. I did not commit a lick of this game to memory. Like, it did not stand out to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we get you.
It was fun though. I do enjoy the whole hidden object style game. Like, I didn't think I would, but I do.
I guess maybe we should try to explain the premise of it a little bit then. Is basically, it takes place after whatever the events of the first game are. And in this game, you play as, I guess, the person from the first, which I guess is named Violet. But she's now the medic and a family friend of the royal family of this country. And the witch that I guess must have been imprisoned in the first game is back. And she is causing problems. And so your whole goal is to, prevent her from stopping the coronation of the new king, actually, I think.
Yeah, she wants to rule the kingdom herself, I believe.
Yes. And she's coming back from this dimension where she's been trapped inside of a mirror. But one shard has been pried loose of the mirror. And if it's ever brought back to the mirror, it'll bring her back. She gets brought back from the
because the prince fell in love with a witch.
Yeah, it's definitely if this was a book, it'd have Fabio on the front and it'd be in like a $5.99 bin.
I don't know, there's not enough sex in it.
Yeah, that makes it sound way sexier than it is. But the amount of writing it's very it's a pretty kind of generic fantasy setting, although I do like the fact that your main character is an alchemist, and therefore one of the main game mechanics is like gathering ingredients and mashing stuff up. And
as far as the story goes, I wrote this in my notes, and early on, in my opinion, never changed. Story pretty whack so far. It's very generic story, and I don't mind that, to be perfectly honest, because this is a hidden objects game. The story doesn't matter that much.
As long as it's got a cool name.
The story... Yeah, the story animates things from scene A to scene B, but like there is not a lot of concern in getting it out of basic fantasy archetypes and stereotypes and tropes and all that. In fact, that's kind of what makes the game work. Even the puzzles are really built around just adventure game archetypal puzzles. Like, this game isn't really here to be original, it's here to be a way to spend time. I find it kind of similar to a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Now, I would like to point out, this game came out in 2017.
Okay.
The last one we played, which was Midnight Mysteries 4, came out in 2012.
5 years of innovation, got it.
5 years of innovation, like the characters' mouths move a little more.
Oh my god, can we talk about the animations in this game? Like, yes, the characters' mouths move, but it was clear that they just had like 1 or 2 drawings of these characters, and then they used like Photoshop to stretch the mouth to make it move.
Yeah.
It was so bad, and it was hilarious. But I will say, this game did have voice acting and voice narration, whereas Midnight Mysteries didn't. But we can talk about the voice acting if you want to a little bit.
So I feel like the lady who played the main character, who apparently is Violet, which I'm just now learning now, but I mentally referred to her as the medic the whole time I was playing, because she was the medic to the king as he was dying. The king dies in episode 1 of the game after you build him a potion, by the way, which is not a great feedback for, you know, doing that whole puzzle. Like, you make him medicine and he just fucking dies. Cool. But this is sounding like I'm getting a lot more negative about this game than I am. I don't know. I thought that the voice actor that played the medic was a really nice storybook voice. She kind of had this really calming narrative tone that she used that was pretty nice. And then there was pretty much everyone else.
I was about to say, Prince Fern was the one that stood out to me, that I was like, oh man.
Adult Prince Fern. Child Prince Fern was different, but...
Yeah.
Child Prince Fern, by the way, was played by the same person as played Rose, who I also thought did acting. Yeah, they both acted.
Everyone else, like the guards and Fern, did not. Like, there's a part at the end of the game, I don't care, spoilers if you want, where you're trying to drive a ship and you're having to like turn the wheel really fast to avoid icebergs. And every time Fern comes on and goes, "Be careful, the crystal thorn is approaching. Turn the wheel, Auntie, quick."
Turn the wheel, Auntie, quick. Yeah. Oh my god, I heard
the wheel,
so many
Auntie,
times.
quick.
It was so bad, but like, it did it every time, and you had to do this turn like 7 or 8 times, and it was just like, shut up, Fern.
And I you know, in my mind, I was comparing this to Midnight Mysteries 4, and in my opinion, dude, this game tried to do more than it needed to. Like, the ship steering section, while cool in theory, was odd, to say the least.
Did you have an issue in that section? Because like, what it basically made you do was like click left or right. But when it did that, did you have trouble getting your mouse to appear on the screen so you could click the left and right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
After you clicked it, it would like disappear for like 2 full seconds.
And not only that, sometimes it'd be like, you need to turn left or right, but they didn't give you enough time. Like, you would just smack into the iceberg.
Because I couldn't find my mouse.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
Oh, I never hit an iceberg. I just stayed the same direction until one was coming
All it does, you know that meter you had to build up?
You guys need to play more cheap Flash games, because this one really had cheap Flash game vibes.
That meter that builds up when you avoid them, if you hit one, it just goes down.
Yeah.
So it just made me have to play that section longer.
But, like, I'm not bitching too much about it being a cheap Flash game or whatever, because, like, a lot of what this game is trying... This game is a super casual game, and I don't mean that in a rude way. I don't mean to say it's bad for being casual. I'm saying that this game is just... It is clearly meant to be a way to spend time. It is not meant to be a difficult adventure game. Anytime you pick up an object in a room, you're not going to have to spend the entire world map looking for where it's used. It will be used in the adjacent room or the room you picked it up in. Every time. Like, there's no crazy adventure game logic in this game.
Not at all.
But
I mean, it can be kind of tricky in places where, like, you're like, okay, well, I have this oil lamp. What do I do with this oil lamp? I don't know if y'all messed with that for as long as I did.
Bro.
I did spend a little longer than I'd like figuring out how the oil lamp
I got to the point where I hit hint twice and it kept telling me to click the oil lamp, and I'm like, why? What do I need to do? And then finally, I clicked around on the oil lamp and it opened, and I went, oh. I feel like a fucking idiot.
I never used to hint.
I tried to light it several times. I didn't use any hints either. I could not figure out how to light it for a while because I don't know what an oil lamp is, apparently.
Yeah. So skipping ahead, just because it was literally the worst part about this game to me, the final fight.
Was paper, rock, scissors if the other person showed you their hand first.
Yeah. It was something. Basically, like, you're holding a bow, Fern holds a shield, and Rose has like a magical shield that she can put up, and that's it. And then you have to like choose the right one as opposed to like what the enemy is doing. And dude, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there was this handy dandy skip button on the right side, and after like 2 or 3 of going through this, I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna sit here for 5 minutes and do this. And I hit skip, and that was the end of the game. And I went,
that's funny.
All right.
Yeah, it was the final boss fight of the game, and like you said earlier, Dalton, that the game tried to do things that it didn't need to try to do. Like, having a final boss fight was one of them. The boat scene was another. But, like, okay, we focused a lot on the negatives. This game isn't terrible. Like Willie keeps saying, like, it's not a bad game. We're just for some reason decided to talk about all the bad things. It did everything else fairly well. Like, there were little puzzles here and there. And my biggest complaint, here comes another complaint, was I wish there was actually more hidden object sections in the game.
Yeah, and that's my thing, is because the hidden object parts were really good. They were fun. I enjoyed them. And when I'm playing a hidden object game, like, that's what I want, is more hidden object stuff.
Yeah, there were like a few hidden object screens, but I would say the hidden object screens were like 6 screens out of, compared to normal navigation screens of the game, there were 27 of them, because that's how many roses there were in the game. So, like, it's a hidden object game that less than 20% of it is hidden object games. But it has a ton of different mini-games. Here's the problem, is those mini-games are really basic other games. Like, when you're doing the alchemy, for instance, you put together, all the items, and it has you do, like, a connect dots. Like, if you've ever played the mobile game Best Fiends, it is almost exactly the same thing as Best Fiends.
It made me think of Bejeweled.
And then... Yeah, I mean, it was it wasn't like sloppy like Bejeweled, but it was like, draw a line match thing. So yeah, I could see that. And then like when you're working on the amulet, once you've got all 4 of the elements to the amulet, it has you do like a kind of para-elemental puzzle, and it's basically the exact same thing as the mobile game.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Do y'all remember? I don't remember what this thing was called, but there was an internet like game where you could like drag like water into water, which would make like river, and then you could drag. That was Doodle God. Okay.
Yeah, that is the thing you're thinking of.
Doodle God.
Yeah, it was a Flash game, and also it was actually kind of nice. But then, like when you got to the maze in the garden, that was basically a really simple Sokoban.
Did y'all mess up on those puzzles? What's the Sokoban puzzles? Because they were the easiest.
No, they were really simple Sokoban puzzles.
I got through each one, and I was expecting the next one to be harder, and it never was.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was a thing where there were 3 animal heads, there were animal heads and animal torsos, and then there was an owl, and you had to like move over. And it was just the classic puzzle Towers of Hanoi. It was literally just Towers of Hanoi, but nothing. There's no but. It was just Towers of Hanoi, a puzzle that was cliched adventure games to such a point that I was reading an article from 1995 where a guy was complaining that the Towers of Hanoi puzzle had been used too much in adventure games.
That was the puzzle that took me the longest, and it was just because I had to maneuver the pieces around so much back and forth to get them to where they needed to go.
Exactly. It's fucking busy work once you figure out how it works. That's how Towers of Hanoi has always been.
But I will...
the only puzzle that did actually kind of fuck with me for a minute was the bell puzzle after that, because I'm not good at lights out, and it was like trinary lights out instead of binary lights out.
Where you were rotating all the things, trying to get all the colors on the one side. Simple. Is that the one you're talking about?
We're talking about the one where you had to ring the
No, we're talking about the bells.
Like, there was a barrel with a wolf head, a bell with a bear head, blah, blah, blah. And there were 5 bells, and you had to get all of them to be ringing the loudest. So you had to get, like, the red circles there instead of, like, the orange circles. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, but now, I don't understand. Okay, so I don't know what I did in that part then, because, like, I got all the bells there, and I picked up the little hammer, and I hit 2 of the bells, and it went, hey, good job, and I won. And I was like, all right.
Okay.
So I don't know if I just picked the right ones on accident.
You did.
Yeah, you just looked into it.
It took me like a while. I don't want to. It took me longer than I feel like it should have.
Same.
Okay.
I've never been good at lights out, and especially when it was like, it wasn't just binary. It wasn't just on and off. It was on, quiet, loud, and you had to kind of get everything over. Like, it was a tough puzzle. That was like maybe the most interesting puzzle in the game, but that doesn't mean I enjoyed it. Yeah. Like, I enjoyed the simpler puzzle. I enjoyed the spot the difference puzzle.
That was funny. Yeah, that one actually kind of made me chuckle.
I do want to say that the one where you had to rotate all the colors. Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize that I needed to get all the colors into each section. So I was trying to line up the right color with like pointing inward to the middle color. And then when I did it, I'm like, why is it not giving me credit?
Yeah, I actually did the same thing, honestly. Then I realized what it was asking for. And then it was just like, that kind of made me mad because then it was just a matter of spin this wheel a bunch of times because there's no way you could get it wrong once you realized what it wanted you to do. It just took a while because you just had to keep spinning the freaking wheel.
Yeah.
Swapping things between the mid-center wheel and the outside wheels and then swapping that in.
And I feel like while some of the puzzles were very, like, they were hit and miss because like we were talking about, some of them were great and some of them were, just all right. This game flowed really well. Mm-hmm. Like...
Yeah, I feel like despite the fact that we're criticizing it as kind of a sort of genetic fantasy universe, I think it like it I said genetic, I meant generic, yes. But it did, there was a pretty consistent feel to the vibe. And I think that it like did a good job of putting you in this storybook universe. And it kind of like I wasn't invested in this plot whatsoever. But I was interested in just kind of hanging out here, chillaxing and making stuff happen. Like I wanted to get the next alchemy ingredient. That really did motivate me. I really enjoyed the alchemy.
I did as well. I did enjoy the alchemy, which honestly made me want to check out the Atelier series, which is it's like a JRPG series that's all about alchemy.
Nice.
So I was like, maybe I will enjoy that. I'll give it a shot. But I definitely liked the alchemy part for sure.
Okay, I know we keep comparing it to Midnight Mysteries 2, and Willie, I know you didn't, and I know you didn't get to play it, but one thing, Dalton, see if you agree with me. One thing I thought they actually did better, at least different, but I think it was a little bit better, was the actual hidden object sections. Because, like, in Midnight Mysteries 4, there were only the ones where you had the words that you had to click on. But in this one, it also gave you somewhere where it gave you, like, the outline of a shape. So, like, there was one section where you were in a room full of a bunch of birds, and it gave you, like, 3 different bird shapes, and you had to match the shapes to the birds. And it was kind of difficult to find them all, and I really enjoyed that. And then there were like the emblems on the suit of armor, I think it was, that you had to find as well. I really liked those two hidden object games a lot because it was a different feel than just like find this word, find the object that correlates to the word.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also feel like that this game, like on top of that, and that could just be because it's newer, so they've gotten more ideas as it's gone along. But I also think that this game also like in the actual hidden object sections, were colored better. Mm-hmm. Like everything wasn't quite as muted, so it was like a lot easier to find some of the... I did still have trouble. There were still a couple things that I really had to look for, but it wasn't nearly like in Midnight Mysteries where I'm looking for a brown stick that's leaned up against a brown table, and because they're both the same color. Yeah.
And another thing, it kind of hit me this way too, like words that I wasn't sure exactly what it was looking for, because it asked for floats in one section, and fishing bobbers. And it said waiters, and I was like, what's a waiter? It was a pair of boots, like of wading boots. Like it made sense when I found it, but I didn't know what that meant. And I think I kind of figured out why that might have been a little bit of an issue. I think and I noticed some typos and translation issues while I was playing the game as well. I think the studio, correct me, like I looked them up. I think this game was developed in Poland.
Okay, that was exactly what I got from the end credits too. Is I was almost certain that those were parts
I looked up the developer, not the publisher, but the developer. From what I could tell, like it didn't specifically say it, but I looked up the SPAZOO or whatever that meant, and it's something Polish. So I'm pretty sure this game is Polish originally.
The names of the credits felt very Polish to me as well, and I also agreed that like while the translation had some problems, it had some hiccups or some some minor subject-verb disagreements. Most of the time, you could tell what it meant, but occasionally, like you said, in some of the hidden object puzzles, there were things like floats. Once you had one of them, it was pretty obvious, but like some of them were confusing.
So, okay, on Steam, Mumbo Jumbo is the developer and the publisher, right? Mumbo Jumbo is what it says. I just Googled Mumbo Jumbo developer location, and it says Dallas, Texas.
No, this game was developed. Hold on.
Yeah, there was a second developer.
Oh my
listed.
God.
The developer and the publisher were not the same
I'm so
people
sorry.
in the
I'm
game
looking at
credits.
Midnight Mysteries.
Yeah,
4
because
page.
this was developer was World Loom, and the publisher was Artifex Mundi. And World Loom was the one that I looked up that I'm fairly certain is Polish.
Okay, yeah, I had looked up Midnight Mysteries 4 earlier to see what year it came out, so that was just the page I had pulled up.
Okay.
I was all sitting, I'm like, Dallas, Texas. There ain't no way that's right.
No.
But yeah, and I mean, so this game not on sale is $9.99.
Yeah,
which
it's steep.
That's kind of that's the beef I have with it, because like if this game was $1.99, it would be a pretty good deal. And if this game was like in a Flash portal, like you were just kind of chilling one day, had nothing better to do, got on congregate.com back when Flash still existed, and you ran into this game, you'd be like, damn, this was a great last couple hours I spent. $10 is a little rough.
Yeah, because like for context, I spent, I think it was 3.4 hours on this game according to Steam. I'm looking right now. 3.3 hours on this game according to Steam, which $10, like, I don't like to do the correlation between dollars and time spent in a game, but at the same token, like, this game wasn't anything revolutionary, and I only got 3.3 hours out of it, and I spent $10 on it, so that felt a little bit rough. Well, I didn't spend that much. I got a Steam key from a mystery box, but you get what I mean.
Oh yeah, if I were to have paid $10 and then beat this game, in 2.5, 3 hours, I would have been bummed. But this is one.
But I also feel like this game is also targeting a different market for me. I don't know what that market is, but apparently this market exists because there's a ton
and they're not
of
bad.
games.
They're fun. But like,
no, I did it. I ultimately had a pretty good time. Like, no matter how much negative stuff I'm saying, like, just some of the voice acting was bad. I think they used a lot of cliche puzzles. It's supposed to be a little cliche because this game is not made to be like it's not Elden Ring. It's not your obsession for the next 5 months. This game is here to just be like a way to whittle away some time. Like, when I said it was a crossword puzzle or a Sudoku earlier, I was kind of joking, but I actually think that's pretty much what they're going for.
It's got a mostly positive rating.
I think it deserves it.
I feel like that's fair. Yeah.
But again, I'd probably, like, if this game interests you from what we're saying, like, I would wishlist it.
Yeah.
Catch it on a sale.
Wait for it to drop.
I'm
to
not going to pay full
90%.
price for Fire Pro Wrestling. You don't pay full price for this.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that I thought it was an interesting choice of them that when you beat the game, instead of taking you back to the main menu, they take you to hey, here's all our other games that you can buy and play.
Yeah, that was wacky.
So I was like scrolling through them, and of course I'm like, are these just like playable? So I clicked one, and it was like took me to the page, and it was like $9.99. Nope, never mind.
Also, when it rolled credits, you had to click out because it just re-rolled credits over and over if you didn't click out of it. I think I watched the credits twice on accident because of that.
I'll give them credit though. Just real quick about the animations, I'll give them credit for trying, like to do something, or like instead, like in Midnight Mysteries, again we're comparing it, but that's our only comparison that we have. Like when Houdini or any of the characters would show up, they kind of just floated there and talk to you, But like this did a thing where like the character would put their hands up, or like they might reach for something, and they animated it, and like kudos on them for trying that. Again, we talked about the mouth didn't exactly look quite right, but I do give them some leeway for A, being an indie studio, but B, just trying to do something. Like, I'll never fault anybody for trying.
Yeah.
Now, if they try it and it doesn't work that great, but then they stick with it, that's on them. That's on them. But again, this is not a game that's going to turn me away from hidden object games. This just makes me want to see what better ones are out there.
I still want to play more.
Yeah. I'm been a lot meaner to Star Wars games than I'm about to be to hidden object games,
Yeah. And we did have to, Nate looked up what our ratings were for Midnight Mysteries 4, so I could kind of base it on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you guys ready to give ratings, or anything else you'd like to touch on about it?
I think I've covered all the points that I had for it.
Okay. Then, let's see. If I was going to give it a crystal shard out of mirrors, I gave Midnight Mystery 4 7.5. I'm gonna give this a 6.5. Like, it's not terrible, but there's room for improvement.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Because like I think this and Midnight Mysteries 4 are both the same price on Steam, and you get more time and a little bit more fun of a story and gameplay out of Midnight Mysteries 4. I mean, so I kind of agree with you there. Like you said, we gave Midnight Mysteries 4 a 7.5. Both of us did. I'm going to be a little bit nicer to you. I give this one just a straight 7. I think this was pretty good. Not as good as Midnight Mystery 4, but I enjoyed my time with it, so happy.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I just wish there were more hidden object sections.
In your hidden object game. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of went into this having not played Midnight Mysteries. It was going to be the game we did. Well, you guys did it it was originally brought up for a short game, but then y'all did it as a substitute because I was sick that weekend. Or maybe that was my birthday one. It was one of them. Anyway, so this is my baseline for the games, and I didn't hate the time I spent there. I found it satisfying, ultimately. I didn't think that this was an innovative game in any way, but it aimed at a shot, and I don't think it missed it by very much. I think I'm going to just give it a flat 7 and let that be my baseline for any future games in the genre.
That's fair. I think that's fair. All right. Well then, gentlemen, I believe then we will roll into some house cleaning. Let's see. If you would like to come join our Discord, which I do hope that all of you would do, is bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters.
Yeah, be cool like Sid Jake.
Yeah. Come join. Fucking tell us some dad jokes. Talk some video games. Vote on the fan polls for the show episodes that the fans vote on, and they pick. That way, like, you know, if you're like, man, how could anybody pick game A? Like, why would they pick? Well, come in and vote for game B, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, just do it. If you would like to be like Sick Jake and all of our other wonderful patrons and join the Patreon, it is patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast. And I would like to give an extra special shout out to the Cogs in the Machine. We have Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of Juniper. We have Jeff, the original expendable, old Jeffy Lube himself, and Eraser Adam. Shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction.
Thank y'all so much for making this possible.
Yeah, for sure. And you want a shirt? tsmpproductions.threadless.com. I'm expanding the TSMP production empire with a new show that should be coming out Wednesday. So it might be out right now. now that I'm looking at the clock and it's Wednesday. So yeah, it's called Yet Another BS Podcast with me and my buddy Jeremy, and it's not gaming related. It's basically just like we're gonna get topics and things people that listen would like to hear us talk about, and then we're just gonna bullshit for about an hour. So if you're interested in that, comedy, you want to laugh, all that kind of shit, that'll be there. Yet Another Bullshit Pod, or Yet Another BS Pod. I have to remember, I can't title it that. I can call it bullshit, but I can't title it that because then you'll get censored and they won't put you on iTunes, yada yada yada. Anyway, Bandcamp, you like the show music, nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. And if you would, on Spotify or iTunes, on iTunes, if you'll leave us a 5-star review, on Spotify, if you'll just give us, I think you can't leave a review, but you can leave a rating. So if you just give us a good rating, I would really appreciate that. And I think that's about all my stuff, so I'm going to pass it on over to old Turtle Bear Man.
Hey, that's me. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok at Turtle Bear Man. Recently on Fridays, I've been doing some more modern games because I just needed something different. So I've been playing SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated lately. Last 2 Fridays I've played it. I'm going to dive into it again this Friday. I'm not sure if this is going to be the last one or not. I don't know how much more games left.
I will say that watching you play it got me to buy it. So I do recommend that people go check out your Twitch because you might see something you enjoy.
Hell yeah. And then Sundays I'm sticking to the retro stuff. For the first time ever, I beat the original Mega Man for the NES. So... Woo! So it's good times.
Nice, great.
So I've got some more games coming up. I think I'm going to do Mega Man 4 this Sunday, and then some cool games that I've picked up recently I might get into soon would be like Werewolf the Last Warrior, and Gargoyle's Quest 2 are a couple I've picked up fairly recently that I'm looking forward to playing. So, and I might get back into doing some speedruns soon. We'll see what happens.
I have never...
I didn't know you didn't own Gargoyle's Quest 2. I thought I've seen you play that game.
It's an expensive game.
Oh, is it? Shit.
I have
Well,
never
congrats.
heard of Werewolf: The Last Warrior. What is that?
It's one that I found fairly recently because like I have my EverDrive, and it's like kind of like a platform beat 'em up kind of game for the NES that I haven't spent any time with really. I've played like the first stage of it, and I'm kind of interested in seeing how this game plays out. So I'm interested in it. It's pretty neat.
I mean, with a name like that, I figured it'd be a hidden object.
Nice.
But no, that does sound cool. I like the name of that a lot. And I don't know if we brought that up this episode, but we have had this conversation amongst us in our chat that hidden object games have the coolest fucking names.
Yeah, they do.
But to be a hidden object game, it's like, you know, you think it's going to be this massive sprawling fantasy RPG or like adventure game, and no, it's just a hidden object game. But it's got a cool ass title.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Willie? Or did you finish doing your plugs?
Yeah, I'm
sorry,
done.
I kind of
Good.
interrupted you. Okay. I just want to make sure. Willie, is there anything you'd like to plug or tell anybody to go fuck themselves? You know, like anything?
I would like to give props to William Regal for headbutting the shit out of John Moxley really hard to the point where Moxley's own blood was visible on his
Regal's
face.
that is.
This Sunday at...
Yeah.
Yes, on Regal's own face this Sunday. It is so cool to see Regal, who is a guy that I knew hit hard as hell in the 90s, and he's still fucking stiffing people in the ring to this day.
Yeah. And I was happy to see him get signed with AEW when he got released from WWE.
I had no idea he was going over there, and I was kind of bummed that he got let out after being such a huge pillar of NXT. But like, I'm so stoked that he showed up there, and you know, I don't know, just old school love for him, man. Absolutely.
I want to throw out there to anybody as a recommendation based on what you just said. If you're one of those people who's like, "Oh, wrestling's fake, that shit's bullshit," I want you to go watch a match between William Regal and Finlay.
Oh God.
Oh shit! Finley would have been the exact guy I would recommend.
Dude.
Those dudes,
Dude, they beat the
they
fuck out of each other.
they reveled in it. They
Wasn't one of them Irish and one of
guys-
them British, so doesn't it make a lot of sense?
yeah.
They literally would just beat the fuck out of each other, and it was wild to watch. You know, it's like one of those things where people are like, "Oh, that kind of looked real." It's like, "Oh no, he literally just punched that guy in the face, and now he's punching him in the face, and they're just beating the shit out of each other."
And the best part is you can tell they love it. They just they enjoy it so much. It just
Wasn't that
so
Finley's
good.
thing? My name's Fit Finley, and I love to fight. I think that was his thing.
Yes.
But yeah, all right. Well, gentlemen, another successful episode next week. Episode 100. That's fucking wild to me, dude.
Congrats, man. I know we haven't been there the whole time, but you have, and that's a lot of episodes, my dude.
It is a lot.
Happy to join you in the solid hundo.
Yeah, man. It'll be a good episode next week. I think Jeff's going to join us, but like that hasn't been cemented yet, so we'll find out. We might have Jeff, we might not. I don't know. I'll have to talk to him. But next week, Serious Sam, The Second Encounter, which, by the way, listeners, I learned has a 16-player co-op campaign. So if any of you listeners want to fuck some shit up, let me know. But yeah, for the Destructo Bros, Willie and Nate, I'm Dalton, and as always, guys, take it easy.